What is up, YouTube? Third Impact here for yet another JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders review. This week's episode is of episode 16, The Lovers, Part 1. So it's pretty cool that we're going into another two-parter right after we finished a two-parter. And even if the pacing or the episode's a bit slower in the first part, you can always bank on having some pretty awesome payoff in the second part. And that's a little bit of how I felt with this episode. Not particularly my most favorite JoJo's Bizarre Adventure episode, but it had some interesting moments nonetheless. The episode begins with Joseph Joestar talking to this kebab vendor, and the narrator sort of walking the viewer through how bartering in other countries works. And I don't know how I felt with this scene. It felt a little long. It wasn't really that funny in my opinion, but I do like when the narrator talks about the location or the culture or the food of a certain place that our crew is visiting. But this one, it kind of went on for a little bit. The vendor's asking for 5 for 10 bucks or 5 for 1,000 yen, and then Joseph tries to barter him down. Eventually they end at 425 yen, and he's so proud of himself for bartering him down to less than half of the original asking price. But turns out the vendor actually sells 10 of them for, I think, 100 and something yen, I think it was. So he still totally got ripped off. But it also turns out that this kebab vendor is actually our next stand user, Steely Dan, or Dan of Steel, the subtitles tell us. But anyways, Enyaba wakes up, and she notices Steely Dan, and she's like, oh no, why is he here? What have I done wrong? What's going on? And we're like, what is this? Because we don't even know that Steely Dan is the stand user at the time, or that this kebab user is Steely Dan. So, tentacles from a flesh bud start coming off of Enyaba's face, and they're all freaking out, and Steely Dan talks about how a flesh bud, one of Dio's, was planted inside of Enyaba, just like many of the other stand users that we've seen. But Enyaba's really taken aback by this. She doesn't feel as though there's any way that Dio would do this to her. She's always been faithful to him, has always served him, and even helped him discover his stand and teach him about stands. So she totally just doesn't understand why this is happening, and this is again a very long, sort of drawn out scene where we're supposed to get some payoff at the end when Joseph is holding her and he's like, "Okay, you need to tell me, like, you have seen what Dio's done. You've seen that he's planted this in you. You have to give us advice now. You have to help us," because he obviously wants to save Holly, and he's making that his mission. And he realizes that at this point, Enyaba should realize that she was completely betrayed and that she should help them. And even in this moment of just complete despair for Enyaba, where she's being torn apart by this flesh bud. I keep wanting to say blood for some reason. This flesh bud, she still refuses to rat on Dio and sticks by him to the very end and believes that he wouldn't have betrayed her, even though she totally got played. So that's unfortunate. And now we're left with Steely Dan just sitting there, just totally just chilling, totally cocky, and the whole group walks up to him and surrounds him. They're like, "So what are you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, you're not gonna. Don't even attack me. Don't do it. You're not gonna win." And while he's still in the middle of his explanation, Jotaro just knocks him off his feet with these punches and makes him go flying through this window. And he's pissed. He's like, "You didn't even give me time to explain my stand." And Joseph Joestar has also gone flying from the punches. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? Turns out, Steely Dan's stand isn't very powerful, but it's very tiny, and has gone inside of Joseph Joestar's brain. And through being inside of his brain, the stand makes it so that the person that the stand's inhabiting experiences everything that Steely Dan, the stand user, experiences as well. So if he gets beaten up, Joseph gets beaten up. If he's killed, Joseph gets killed. And Jotaro's like kind of not buying it. He's holding Steely Dan up. He's like, "I don't care, I'll kill you so fast that your stand won't even be able to realize what happened, and I'm going to save my dad, or my granddad." And he's getting pissed. But Steely Dan's like not having any of it. He's holding up a rock, and he's like, "You don't get this, do you?" And he's still going to do it. The whole group's holding Jotaro back, and Steely Dan starts beating him with a rock, and Jotaro's just sort of like helplessly like blocking it, because he knows that if he fights back, Joseph's going to get hurt. So this is sort of going on for a bit, and then Kakyoin and Polnareff run off with Joseph, leaving Jotaro and Steely Dan there. So it's like, okay, I guess he sort of has Jotaro as a hostage at this point. But they think if they run far enough away, maybe the stand, it'll, because most stands, they can only be used up until a certain distance. But obviously, it's not that simple. The stand can have a connection with Steely Dan for like thousands of kilometers. So that doesn't matter at all. And pretty much, Steely Dan is just making Jotaro his bitch. He's like beating on him. At one point, he even makes him act like his bridge so that he can walk across Jotaro because he's too lazy to walk like 5 feet over to a bridge. And that was probably one of the best scenes in this episode. Is just the music. You hear this, just the like the strings, just like. Every time Steely Dan's foot comes down on Jotaro, it's like, it's like really intense, and you're like, how dare he step on Jotaro? And this whole time, you can just see Jotaro just seething and seething, and you can tell there's going to be some pretty awesome payoff in the next episode when he finally gets a chance to have his revenge, or, he should get his revenge at this point. It's pretty ridiculous. But Steely Dan walking across Jotaro, probably the best scene, along with Joseph Joestar. He's been known for some oh no's as of late, but he has his first real good oh my god! Not even god, oh my god, but it is perfect. The voice actor did an awesome job like yelling, and the reason that he yells is that Kakyoin comes up with the idea that, well, stands are only spiritual energy. We can make them shrink, and we can make them shrink so much that we can go inside Joseph's ear and track down the stand inside of his body. Kind of strange. I'm pretty sure that shrinking of stands and growing of stands isn't really a thing that's addressed much later on and wasn't before this point. And I'm pretty sure that it isn't for like specific plot reasons. I'm pretty sure if like the stand users could just shrink their stand to any size at will, there's a lot of problems that characters in Jojo wouldn't run into that wouldn't actually be a problem. So I'm not sure if it comes up beyond this point, but they can shrink their stands down, and they attack a blood vessel inside of Joseph's head to try to get to the stand, and this is when he yells, "Oh my god!" So that was just great. But yeah, a little bit unsure of the whole shrinking thing, and also our introduction to Kakyoin is that his stand is inside of a person, and it's inhabiting their body. So he should already be able to send Harriet Green inside of Joseph Joestar, regardless of shrinking. But, let's not ask these questions. And just pretty much, solid episode of Jojo. Not my favorite. Probably not the worst. It still had some pretty good moments in it. But next episode, stay tuned for that, because that's going to be a fantastic episode with just a great, great ending to Steely Dan. And I hope you guys stay tuned. Hope you like, comment, subscribe. See you guys soon, and peace out.